including the library. So if you have those things, start looking for them, start bringing them in. So that's something to be thinking about and looking for at home. Another one is to start making sure you know when the last date and time your teachers will accept your late work and you haven't finished missing work. I myself will probably do Wednesday, get it done by Wednesday morning. So I do need to do grades. So that will be good. Lisa Mitchell went to a baseball game, got broken back at school. Steph wants to know what next we bring in the algebra book to school. If you've got your math book, I think there's a couple drop-off times that probably were sent home, but let me check. That you're at home person would be what next Wednesday from 4 to 6, you can drop off your so actually the 15th and 16th are drop-off book time. Or you can send them with a friend or, but there's some times in the parking lot you can do it. Let's see what else is kind of coming up. This afternoon you have a lockdown drill in 6th period. It will be a drill. They'll be locking the doors, closing the blinds. They'll keep teaching. And don't be the classroom that falls for the trick where the person checking your room knocks on the door and goes, "Is everybody okay?" And we all shout out, "Yeah, we're doing fine, thanks." That's a trick. You don't want to answer it. You just want to pretend like you're not there. So don't be that class, okay? Do they sound so friendly? "You guys okay? You're doing a good job." "Yeah, we're doing fine." No, that's not what you're supposed to do in the lockdown. All right. So don't get fooled that way. All right. So I'm just gonna wait one minute. If I go right now, I'll just go and do the big orange and black computer, and that will make sure that somebody else comes in right at the end, but that's okay. That's what we want. And we really have almost everybody here as I look at it now. Last minute, we've got a lot of people, so. All right, so we've got, talk myself through it, it's gotta be perfect. Remote learning absent is correct. All those are here. In class is good, in class is good. Absent remote learning. Yeah. And here, in class is good, in class is good, in class. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. All 6 in class are here. Only 2 we're missing are would be remote learning today. Okay, we got it. Covered. Okay. All right. So I just got the hardest class out of the way because attendance, apparently passing grade's not good enough. You need to have a perfect score for the whole thing. So got that taken care of. So what are we doing today? What we're gonna do is give you have a really easy end of the year test for us to do. I'll review it before, okay, that would be kind of cool. I'll review it and I'll let you take it. People are scoring really good. Takes a little bit more than, takes more than 10 minutes and it takes less than 20 and I'm gonna give you about 50. Then after that, you can either work on any missing math assignments or any assignments in any of your classes, okay? So that will be good. It's designed for you to bump your grade up. So like I said, people have been doing really good. Okay. So let's go ahead and get to our sharing screen. All right. I don't know why I'm so freaked out that attendance isn't right today, but I keep triple checking it. So one thing, there it is. just gonna turn the screen on the room. All right, so, we have a lot of different things, to take a look at, and I did it like the way I thought you'd be the most successful, so. I easily could have designed one, there we go, that could have been actually like a 40-minute test 3 days in a row. But I just don't think we need to do that. I just want to get the basic ideas and make sure you, that will carry forward with you some really simple ideas. So, like I said, I designed it to improve your grade. You're still going to have to do it, but I really believe this will improve your grade. So here we go. So one of the concepts we looked at this year, we spent a long time with fractions. All right. So don't worry, we're not going to add, subtract, multiply, or divide fractions, but we're going to talk a little bit about fractions. All right. There's somebody. Noted. 841. So one of these is the numerator and one of these is the denominator. So we got to figure out which one's the numerator, which one's the denominator. All right. So we got to just remember, think about, I'll let you see if you remember and have a system for it. I always do. I know the denominator starts with a D and so does down. So denominator's on the bottom, numerator on the top. All right. So you need to know that numerator on top, denominator on the bottom. I'm early on. This is pretty good. Yes, I got one for once. That's good. I know. So that's one of the easy ones there for some points. Staying with the idea of fractions, we have a fraction that looks like this. What is this called? We have a special name for something that had both a whole number, a counting number, and a fraction.
Is it a mixed number?
Yes, very good. It's a mixed number, right? Or, yeah, mixed numeral, mixed number, I'll take either one. So I was thinking it'd be like we have a bowl of mixed nuts, you have a little bit of everything. This has everything, has numbers and fractions. So that's a mixed number, all right? So the other one we have sometimes we see is this one, where the numerator is greater than the denominator. So we got to remember what that one's called. Yes?
Improper.
Improper fraction, right. When the numerator is bigger than the denominator, it's called an improper fraction. Yes?
Your mask is backwards.
Is it inside out?
Yeah. No.
Oh, it is inside out. Thank you. I grabbed it out of my pocket. It was a new one, so I bent it and put it on. Thank you. Oh, I got a couple strange looks today as I was walking with it. Thank you. All right. Now, we know that we've spent a long time learning how to go back and forth mathematically between those, because we know sometimes we want an improper fraction, and sometimes it's easier to work with a mixed number, right? But I'm not going to even make you do that. I just need you to recognize which one's which, and that'll be enough to let me know that you've been paying attention, all right? Now, here's the question for you. When adding or subtracting fractions, the numerator needs to be what? The denominators need to be what? What do we need about the denominators? Need to be equal. Someone said equal, that's true. They need to be equal, they need to be the same, and the other word we used was they need to be common, right? Or like denominators. Common, and then we heard also the word and like. So what that really means is if we're going to add 7 12s and 1 12, these denominators need to be the same. Whether you're adding or subtracting, you can't add without making conversion. So now, like I said, I could have built a 3-day test where I have you add fractions and they have different denominators and all those kinds of things. But I think you just get worn out, especially since we just did the math diagnostics. So I think you just are kind of done with that. I get it. All right. Now, decimal points. All right. We line up decimal points to add and subtract or multiply and divide. We need to line up the decimal points to add and subtract or multiply and divide. That would be to add. So even if our decimals were different lengths, by lining up your decimal, you can add or subtract. If I make this a big one, it could be subtract or we could add. But you want the decimals lined up. Why? Just like anything else, you want to add tens to tens, ones to ones, tenths to tenths, even if you have to put in placeholders, tenths, hundreds, and thousands to thousands. But the decimal points lining them up allows you to get your placeholders right, all right? Oh, what about the wonderful world of this one? What does LCM stand for?
Least common multiple?
Yes, least common multiple, very good. And we use that to help us work our fractions to keep it small. What does greatest common factor stand for? Oh, geez, I just said it. All right, GCF, greatest common factor. That's when we're trying to make fractions smaller. Silly old man. All right, fair enough. All right, let's take a look at this. Let's skip to something a little different we're going to look at. And we're going to actually have a little bit of some calculations on this one. We're going to look at our exponents, all right, and our powers. We had some names. What was the name or vocabulary for the 5? Anybody remember? It was our base, all right? That's the base. The base is whatever the big number is, and this is our exponent, all right? Now, how do we calculate this? What does this mean? What is 5 to the second power? You can do that in your head. Think about what the answer is and see if you have it right. What's that answer in your head? Okay, you should have an answer by now because it's quick. All right? It's the base times itself 2 times. So it's 5 times 5, which is 25. So most people got that right. The most common error is people will take 5 times 2. It's not 5 times 2. It's 5 times itself 2 times, all right? So if you had 5 to the third power, that would be 5 times 5 times 5, but in this case equals 125. Equals 5. This is 25, and then times 5 again is 125. So we have to do that. So you have to know vocabulary, and you have to know how to do it. So that's like our first calculating, actually doing some math. So then we have the all-time, what we did, the superior, how to solve equations. So let's say we had, and we're going to do an example of each so you're all warmed up. What if we had, we'll do 2, oh, I got 2 and we'll work on. So let's see here, how do we solve it? We put a line down to our equal sign. We keep it balanced like a mobile hanging from the ceiling. I see my x. What's happening to my x? It's a plus 10, so I need to isolate my my variable, which means get it by itself. We just want it to be x equals some number. So let's, what is the inverse of plus 10? That would be minus 10, all right? So we're going to subtract 10 here. Because those lines are minus, keep it balanced, we also subtract 10 over here. This cancels, leaves this x by itself or isolates your x, and x equals 20. All right. How does it differ over here if we have it x and it's minus 10? Well, what's the inverse of subtracting 10? Is adding 10. Let's add 10 to both sides. This cancels, x equals 40. So we've been doing those really well. Then we also have this one. We've been doing this one pretty good too. 10x equals 30. Keep with the theme here. And then we have this one, which is the hardest to do, not because the math's hard, it's just sometimes we don't recognize what we need, all right? So here we go. Let's go ahead and do the first one on the left. Do it in fuchsia. There we go. What's happening to x? We need 1x, I see 10x. So the inverse of what's the opposite or the inverse of dividing by 10 is multiplying by 10. And we do it to both sides. These cancel, leaves us x all by itself or isolated. and 10 times 30 is 300. So it's not that this one is harder math-wise, it's just since we don't see that that's division, and we have to undo it with the inverse, all right? So when we look here, we got to remember, what is the inverse of addition? Anybody?
Subtraction.
Subtraction. What's the inverse of subtraction?
Addition.
Addition,
Yeah, what's the inverse of multiplication?
Division.
division,
And right, and what's the inverse of division?
Multiplication.
There you go. So I'm gonna give you some points for doing that too, so how nice of me. I know. All right. So where you're going, I could do this. Yes, you can do it. Take your time, raise your grade, all right? And the last thing we're gonna do is, and it's not even this big a deal. You don't have to draw this, just crank out your notes, just take a look here. But I'm just gonna show it to you. We did the Y is here, X was here, and that was our first graphing we learned, and we said that this was quadrant 1. This is 4 pieces, quadrant 1. We knew that was quadrant 2, 3, and 4. But unfortunately, they don't do this in math. The piece I want you to know is we always use these as Roman numerals, all right? So sometimes it's hard for us to know that. So a Roman numeral for 1 is the capital I. Roman numeral for 2 is 2 I's next to each other. 3 is 3 I's. That's what we need to know. And then 4 is not 4 I's. If you were a second grader in Roman times, they would let you get away with 4 I's, but then they would tell you that there's a shortcut for that. That's where you take 5, which is V, and you put the I in front of it, then put your lines over top. And the one from the 5 is 4. Now, just as a bonus, if you wanted to remember all these quadrants, and I think it's really important, remember my trick is you start with this one, that's the first one we learned, and we want to get it correct, which is a giant C. So we could start writing a C here, that's the first quadrant I'm in, oh, that's the second quadrant I'm in, oh, that's the third quadrant, and that's my fourth quadrant. So as I write my letter C, I can number them. But what I really want you to know is to be able to recognize these as being Roman numerals. It's important, all right? Because that's how they teach you. Okay, so I'm gonna take a quick peek. I think we did it, all right? So we're gonna be really in good shape, really good shape, all right? For those that came just a little bit late, we did talk again about bringing books for different classes. Bring your books in. You have, I know they've been emailed out, might even be on our website, different times to bring stuff in, but even if you're group B and you can't get to group A, if you can only get to group A drop up, I'm sure they'll take your book, all right? So, or just bring them anytime, and your teachers will be glad to take your books and check them in for you. So look for your books. Make sure you got your work turned in. Make sure you know when the last day is. The only thing worse than having a missing assignment is to finish a missing assignment and then not be able to turn it in. That's worse than having a missing assignment. You feel like you just got cheated, right? So make sure you know when the last day is, all right? Every teacher's going to be different because some classes, it takes longer to correct those assignments. The other thing too is if you turn in something late, don't be dogging your teacher to suddenly grade it right that moment and put it into Schoology and push the grades out to student view. That all takes time, and just to be honest, they're going to be correcting things that were turned in on time first before they start getting to stuff that's turned in late, all right? So reduce the pressure, get it turned in as soon as you can. If it was me, I'd try to get everything done this weekend, so next week's a lot more fun and you don't have as much pressure. All right, so make sure you know when the last day you can turn something in is. Make sure you get your stuff turned in. If you have lots, make priorities. If you just have a couple, just make a list and just check them off as you do it. So if you just like I said, if you have work to be done, make a list of it, and it's lots, make priorities, and it could be on what makes you happiest, which will give you momentum for your next assignment, or maybe it's what class is closing first. You know, my science class closes in one day, I better get this done first. I have 2 more days to get my math done, or maybe I have 3 more days to get my English done. But I only got 1 more day to get my science done. Maybe you have to do it according to what door is closing first on you. Maybe you want to do what will make one of your grades go up the most, okay? Maybe you want to do what makes you happy, so it gives you a little momentum for your next assignment. There's different ways to do your priority. The priority is to give you the most value for your effort, the most joy for your effort, and the most energy going forward for your second effort on your list. So try those kind of things, okay? If you haven't done your diagnostic and finished that up, I think it closes today, and it will zero you out if you don't get it done. So get that diagnostic done. You have plenty of time, all right? So you need to get that done, otherwise you'll end up starting all over. What else? All right, so I think I'm ready for the links. Let me go back to which one's the right one? Oh, got the right one. Okay. So when you go looking for it, I'm going to share it. Not that I can't tell you, but it's a little bit different. There won't be a folder. It's right here at the bottom. It says EOY, stands for end of year test. I didn't want to put all that out. You might have freaked out, but now you've heard it's not that difficult, right? We're gonna be fine. Okay, build it to improve your grade. Okay, honestly, I built it to improve your grade. So take your time. Like I said, everybody spends at least 10 minutes on it. Very few people spend 20 minutes or more. So you understand you got plenty of time. Max it out. No one cares how fast you do it. No one remembers how fast you do it. No one cares how fast you do it. All the people remember how best you did it, okay? So do your best, get your points, don't leave points on the table. Don't rush through it and say, well, Ms. Wright, can I do that again? No, you can't, okay? I already gave you the cool part, which is it's so darn easy, you should be able to do really well on it. So you're not gonna get a second chance in this. There's not a retake next week on it. It's that easy. Just do your best, okay? So take your time, do your best, don't slop through it, okay? All right, so I'm gonna go, whoops, get my mouse back. I got double buried, so you would, first I gotta publish just the assignment like it was a folder, and then I gotta go inside. Put the due date in today, and let you put answers. All right. It's 51 points, but it's all easy points, okay? If I gave you a 10-point test or a 9-point test, you would go to raise your grade. You want the points to raise your grade. You want to do well on a 50-point test. You don't want to, I mean, sure, you want to get points on an 8-point test. You want to get all 8. But if you can get all 51 on a 51-point test, that's good. That's what will help your grade, okay? So that's why I made it 51, and it's 51 easy ones, all right? So I'll hush up. I'll let you get started. On your markers, get set, go. You got plenty of time. You got 46 minutes.
That is not enough time.
Just regarding,
So what?
just regarding, I don't know why, but how come most computers in the North Shore School District are Apple ones? I keep thinking about that, and all I see is Apple.
They started, when they had computers, when they first bought them, 35 years ago, maybe a little bit more. They started with Franklin's, which were just never, Franklin never grew up. It was a good classroom computer for some little basic programming stuff. But then Apple came out and really made a pitch to all the schools around the nation and kind of ended up being that platform. There are some other ones that are in like the accounting departments in some of the administration offices, but you're right. It's almost always Apple products.
I've never heard of Franklin before.
I know. You can look it up. It's
I'm gonna
cute.
look it up right now.
Yeah. All right, people are getting in, so that's awesome.
Those things are old.
Oh, yeah. It's the Schoology and math. If you took notes, you get to use them. Yep. If you took notes last week, if you got notes you've collected all year, that's fine. Yep. Probably next year when you're in school full time, more of the normal, then there'll be days when they'll let you use notes. There'll be days when they won't. I even know some teachers would, if you wanted to use your notes, they would take like 5% off your grade, but you got to take your notes. So a lot of people would get really high scores. You could buy the use of your notes for a few percentage points. But yeah, next year it'll be a bigger question. This year, math, you know what you should know.
Mr. Whitey?
Yeah,
On 9, it says, either says like mix or merge number. Is that an X or an R?
let me look. What question are you talking about? What number?
Number 9.
Okay. I knew you told me, I just couldn't remember what it was. Mine are out of order. What's the question, read again?
It is 5 to 2/3 is called a
Yeah,
mixed number.
okay, I know. Hang on, let me check that one out. Okay. The one that says 5 2/3 is called a mixed number?
Yeah, the X looks like an R kind of.
It's a true-false question. 5 2/3 is called a mixed number. It's true or false. You pick one of those, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, number spelled right, Number. Yeah, that's okay. It's all right. Maybe that font's maybe hard to read on your device. Sorry about that. Yeah, if you need a bathroom break or just a
Break.
break, you can do that. Just quiet for people around. Yes.
Just one.
Okay.
I'm sure.